SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Good morning. I had been discussing on the arrangements. Before that, I have discussed about the abstract or expression principles, and now I am discussing about the arrangements. I am continuing with it. I will just list them first: balance, occult balance, repetition, emphasis. Basically, what happens is, whenever you are trying to arrange different objects, I discussed about the symmetry, asymmetry. Similar, there is something called balancing. Balancing, it comes slightly in the volumetric or spatial sizes. It is something like, again, I will try to draw. Suppose in the whole landscape site, you have one area which is very large, and there is another space which is very small, and there is a space which is rectilinear like this, and there is a space which is circular. I am trying to give different kind of forms essentially to make my points clear. Whenever you see this, you have a feeling that they are not properly balanced, not properly balanced in terms of its sizes. Again, the balance here I may not discuss in the form and the objects. Even the balance, like say in my landscape, if suppose I have a landscape I am trying to draw in perspective, I have one object very large, another object small, another object prostrate kind, they are not balanced. Why they are not balanced? Because whenever you are looking at each of them and ultimately trying to make a comprehensive or cumulative idea in your mind, then you find one is great, one is big, one is large, one is small, one is drooping, one is this is what is the balance part of it. When we think it is balanced, every element is different, but in terms of scale, in terms of form, in terms of color, in terms of harmony, they are fairly appears to be in place. This is also, we did not put this as an abstract, because here the mind starts setting some dimensions to it. That is why it is not abstract. Abstract are those which are non-dimensional, but here it has some dimension in it. Okay? And the occult balance is here basically there is a little bit of deviation from the normal balance that you have done, but yet the effect has been very good. See, the balance, if mind tries to understand that whether everything is balanced and feels pleasure, occult balance is not everything is balanced, slightly differing or rather deviating from the balance, but still looks good. Occult balance, this is where it should be construed with. Repetition is rubber stamping, same thing, common. Just look at this particular picture. Look at this particular picture. There are all these squares, very repeated, very repeated. Okay, where you have a structure in the center which is only deviation, but the rest of the things are square gardens which are repeated. This is what is repetition. No harm. See, again, good or bad, right or wrong, don't argue. Don't have to think about it. Think whether the effect is good or not. Okay? When you repeat such objects, sometimes it becomes monotonous. So, the monotony that we think about, like say seeing the same thing over and over and over again, does not make me much interested in this particular experience in this landscape. This is what is basically resulting from repetition. You remember that I talked about the monotony on that. If you break the repetition and make too much of breaking the repetitions, that also might make it very complex and may not give you good effects. So, the point is where you draw the line, that is important. Emphasis is when you emphasize certain objects or certain spaces with respect to the others. Everything is there, multiple objects or spaces are there in the landscape, and at certain points you will find something is emphatic, you are forcefully doing it. That emphasis sometimes is very interesting, and it may create. Just look at this particular picture. I have just taken over here. In this, let us see, I will just all these pictures that I will now explain to you. This is, look at this particular picture, this particular path is straight leading to this area and the equal amount of slope that has been given on either side. If I say this is quite balanced, but this view axis is leading to a very green, which are dark green compared to this. Now, if you take hue into consideration, they will find that this is emphasizing this frontal garden against the backdrop of the dark garden. This frontal garden has been emphasized because of the lightness, light color of the green hue against the dark green hue, emphatic. This is what emphasized. So, basically it is stronger in relation to the other elements. Contrary, I can also say, with respect to a very light color foreground, this dark background can also be emphatic. It all simply depends how you react to it. Let us look at this particular picture here. The axis is straight leading to a particular point. On either side I have the statue. Everything is almost appearing to be symmetrical or balanced on the either side. Look at the statue. The heights are same, but the statues are not same. When you will consider this 100% symmetrical, when you will say it's symmetrical when the same statue comes here. When you say balanced, when you are seeing that the one form and the other form is balancing each other. Now imagine that this particular statue was non-existent. Then if you looked at this particular one, then suddenly you would have found some tall structure over there and then there is nothing. So it was not balanced. So one structure, one statue balanced with another statue of the similar height and volume. So this is what is balancing. Same statue repeated would have been symmetry. I hope the point is clear to you. Other aspects. One second. Okay. I will go one by one. Accentuation. Accentuation is when you are trying to draw attention to something very definite. There are so many objects. You are drawing attention of the user to some specific object. How you do it? There are various ways of doing it. First accentuating characteristics is the self characteristics of that object itself. The object is so strong intrinsically by its own characteristics that it draws attention. That is accentuation. When it comes to sometime you accentuate with other elements at the background, that you can do. Just look at this picture here. Look at this. This is a green dominated landscape within which suddenly you have a pillar. This is basically non-fitting element in the landscape because nature did not create this, cannot create this. As soon as you have put in here, whenever you look at this particular picture, you really do not focus on the other trees and the greens and all. Your eye catches straight or hooked to this particular element. This is what is accentuating, drawing more attention compared to other elements. You do it in a different way. Statue or this kind of some architectural elements, a building, maybe a tree, a specific tree which is contrastingly different from other tree which catches attention. You can do that. So accentuation is one more very strong principle that we can use. Let us look at the other. Positioning. This positioning is when everything is positioned, because it is a space within which the elements and the spaces are located, whether it is organic or ordered. Organic means in natural form, as if it came by chance, and the ordered is you designed, you placed it very methodically over that. So organic or ordered. If you look at the Mughal garden, if you look at the French garden, Italian garden, they are ordered. If you look at Spanish garden, they are semi-ordered. If you look at Chinese garden and Japanese garden, they are organic. But mind it, every garden has been designed. So it is basically by positioning, you give a feeling to the mind or to the user that whether it is organic or ordered. There is another one, just a minute. Okay, all right. So, this next principle, that is view. Okay. I have explained to you what is view and vista. So, when it comes to the arrangement, you will find it is a view from where you can see the entire thing. It has two things, one is the fixed view and this is a dynamic view. These aspects I have discussed in my earlier lecture when I was talking of the circulation or kinesthetic expressions. At that point I have discussed more in detail. So, basically, this particular principle also becomes very effective or usable in your landscape arrangements, in which you decide whether it is a fixed or dynamic. Do you want a fixed view or a dynamic view? Do you want people to move around and see, and whether it is panoramic or tilting? Then comes the vista, guided vision leading to a focal point or object. This also I have clarified in my during discussion on the kinesthetic expressions. I am just bringing it here because that refers to my arrangements. So, I want what I want to create. In this, if you see, let us look at the first picture, top picture. You stand at one particular point and you see the entire landscape. Now, if you walk along this particular landscape, I will tell you your view will not be similar. Neither that, not only that, it is also, since you will be walking at the floor level, then all the trees that you are seeing from the top and all the trees, the series of trees that you are seeing from the top, now they will become vertical planes. So, whole your view frame will change, and that is why, if you remember that I have also advised you not to plan thinking about the plan, rather plan it thinking about the three dimensionality. Okay. Next one is a focus. See, focus is what? Focus I discussed when I was talking about the view, like when you look at something and you have some strength by which your eye cone, view cone focuses onto that and it becomes 5 to 15 degree. So, that becomes a focus. That means a point of reference where you want to focus your attention to. You are still seeing everything, but the moment you come to this particular focus here, then automatically your view cone restricts to this. Anything beyond this particular view cone becomes slightly blurred. Okay? So, focus you create when you try to draw attention. And then two more things, foreground and the background. These are very, very important things. Since the landscape is arranged over a space, there may be multiple such elements. There may be some elements which are accentuating. There may be other elements which are just making different arrangements. These two things play a very great role. One is a foreground. Foreground is a near space from an object. Let us say an example, let me give you with respect to this particular sketch. Okay. Please look at my paper. I am just drawing a section first. If suppose you are standing here and you have an object here, and you have your properties from here to here, anything that is at the back which you are seeing in the picture with the horizon line this and this one with a picture, this is the object and you are seeing this. This particular zone which is towards the front, this zone and this one is the foreground, and this zone which is at the back is the background, this zone. Now, interestingly, in a view frame, when you look at it, you will find that there is a foreground and there is a background, and everything has a foreground and a background. Foreground has a limit of visibility, starts from a reference object to yourself. This portion is the foreground, start from the reference object. If you shift to another reference object from that particular point to yourself, foreground does not include anything behind you, never. But background is very interesting. Background is start from the reference object and backward. Where does it limit to? Horizon. This is what is the real challenge in our landscape design. Here I have drawn a line, this line. Let us say I did not give any barricade or any fence over here, it is open. I have given some trees over here. When I will see this particular thing, I will see the trees over here in my picture. I will see the trees, but has it stopped my vision of the cloud or the sky behind? No. Has it stopped the vision of something far, far away, several kilometers away? There is a hill. Has it stopped me from viewing this hill? No. This is the real interesting part of our foreground background. Let me reiterate. Standing from a particular point, you being an observer, take a reference object. From that particular object to yourself is the foreground, not behind you. From that particular object, go anything that is behind is the background till the horizon, and that makes sense. All objects, every space or object, when you are viewing it, then you are always seeing against some background, and the background has, you don't have much control over the backgrounds. Example, the sky. Look at this particular picture on my paper. This picture may be very, very simple picture. Look at this particular picture. This sky, when it is not cloudy, very shining, then anything that you are seeing in front is again a shining background. When it is very cloudy, again it's a gray background. When it is with cumulus nimbus clouds, in a very dark gray background. If suppose you find blue sky with some sporadic clouds, white clouds, different background. So, your background is always beyond your control, and that contributes to greatly in the expression or experience of your project site, but yet you do not have any control. If you really want to control, then you can do one thing. You can raise the vertical limits up to a height that when you are seeing it, this object which you have planned at the backdrop negates the effect of the rest. An example, if suppose you make a tall tree groves at the end, and such tall that standing at this particular point you almost do not have a visibility of the hill at the back, you have stopped it. The thing is, this is where you can do such things, but there is a limit. Up to what height can you go for the tree, or how do you really work it out? Basically the very interesting way of working on this is, take this particular section. I think I will save my labor of drawing this. You take this particular line, and whatever backdrop object that you have, draw a line like this, draw a line like this, and if your whatever object that you have at the back, it will have very high different scales. If in your picture this is visible between this and this, then it should be included, and this height you decide based on your view line. Stand at this particular point, the view line you raise it. At one point of time in one of my lectures, I will show you, I will explain that how to really work out the existing trees positioning affecting your sunlight exposure. In some other lectures I will discuss, but this is what principle I do follow. Take that particular line, raise it up till it comes to the tip of that particular obstruction, and beyond this whatever it is I do not see. That is how you can always make a backdrop which is as per your own choice, but otherwise I always prefer one thing in my landscape. First of all, I will not go into this kind of complex designs. I will first try to see whatever is at the backdrop, can I exploit it? Can I explore it and exploit it? If the backdrop becomes good, then I will do very little over here and allow this particular object to be seen at that background. So, the background planning and the foreground planning, these are very, very essential planning exercises which the landscapist has to do. If you go back to your French and other landscapes designs, when I will go to a palette of pictures, in fact, how I am planning this is, when I will discuss this, I will go to a panel of a series of palette of pictures. All these discussions that I am doing, I am just trying to express what I would like you to know. Then when I will go to a palette of pictures, there will be multiple pictures in the same slide maybe, but I will try to say this is what it is, this is where it is, this is what it is. Okay. Next, order, sequence and transition. This particular tree I have clustered together for a very definite reason. When you are arranging your spaces and you are allowing a user to experience it, these three things matters a lot. This order is placement. How you place it? Sequence is exposure. How you make the movement exposure through movement, and the transition is exposure from one to other. Let me draw one sketch. This is schematic diagram. I am trying to give that idea. I draw a very simple diagram for this. Zone A, B, C, D, E and F. Say for example, this is a landscape project which I am designing, and I have divided this into 6 segments. In terms of French landscape example, 6 portraits: A, B, C, D, E, F. All right. For discussion's sake, I am putting some more conditions to it. Your arrangement of A or treatment of A is not same as B. Rather, I would put it differently. Each of them has their unique arrangement and components. This is what is order. I have ordered them as it is. What is the order like? It is regular, very regular. Then comes the question of how to see it. Here lies one point. When somebody is seeing it, I will force him to see the way I want. Make him enter, follow these lines. A viewer enters from here, goes to the next, goes to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, and then ultimately comes out. This, if I record it, I have, as per design, sequenced it. This is what is a sequence. Sequenced it as A, then B, then D, then F, then E, then C, and then B. Be attentive to this. Another option, I am working it out. Somebody will enter, he will go like this, go here, go here, then this, then this, then this, then this, then here and then here. I have sequenced the motion in that manner. Means I am designing in such a way that one has to first enter. Then what happens? The sequence A, then B, then C, then E, then F, D, then C, then B, and then A, and then out. And for this B, it is after this out. It makes a hell of a difference in his experiencing the same site that you have designed. This is, it matters. Look at this. He enters from here, goes to A, looks at this, and then goes forward. Same kinesthetic experience, knows nothing about B. Goes to D, experiences it, goes further, experiences this, turns, experiences this edge, then goes to E, experiences this edge, then comes to C, turns, experiences the E, comes to C, experiences this, then comes to B, and then after that out. Next option, green one, goes to A, turns right, A experiences this entirety, turns to this, sees this, goes to this part, sees this, then goes to, let me take another pointer, then goes to this part, experiences this, goes straight, experiences C, then E, experiences this, then turns left, experiences this, then here F, then turns on this direction, experiences this, then comes here, experiences this, then turns to the left, sees this, then to C, this one, then to B, this one, then back to A, seeing this and then coming out. Now, this picture, if you just download whatever sketch I have drawn, download and try to put your figures within it, objects and elements within it, and try to see, will you have the same experience? No. Absolutely different experience you will have. I will tell you how it is different experience. See, first of all, in a space, I am drawing it in 3D a space. Try to understand this, and then after that what you will do is, when you will mentally work it out, try to follow these rules. Once you have come in to this particular point, when you see this, you are seeing the rest of the things. You are seeing the other two sides as the side view, seeing the frontal view of this as a front view, side view and the front view. If you go farther forward, this you have never seen in detail. Also, you have never seen this in detail. You came straight from here to enter through this. After that, when you go straight forward, I am talking about the red line, you saw these two lines as perspective view, never a perpendicular view, and this one as a perpendicular object, perpendicular wall. Whatever treatment it is there, this is registered, the other two will rest registered. Take the example or follow the example of the Granada or Spanish landscape. You remember that fountain? On the left hand side we have the arcades, on the right hand side we have the vegetations, in the front we have the baradari or the king's palace, and then in front you have the water and then the fountains. Just take that particular picture, you try to understand that if you would have been looking from this to the arcades, you would have seen the total arcades. You would have lost the effect of the baradari and the entry, and of course the vegetation. This is how you look at it. So, when you go into this, if you could count or register or record the experiences of the persons, then you would see that A to D to F to E to C to B is one experience. Take a cumulative experience. This cumulative experience, when you will finally add it up, somebody will express in some manner. Then, if you take the red one, A to B to green one, A to B to C to E, F, D, C, B, A, cumulative one. A he has entered twice, C he has entered twice, B he has entered twice, but he is looking for the different direction. Since he is looking for the different direction, reaction is also different, registration is also different, retrieval is also different. So, when it differs so much, then his cumulative reactions to the entire spaces are different. This I will add with the transition in my next lecture and explain the whole thing further. Enjoy it. Meanwhile, what you do is draw this picture on your piece of paper. My advice is draw this picture on your paper and try to put elements by yourself. I have just given you the concept. Try to put the elements by yourself, and suggestion is make different kind of elements in different zones. So, do not make a repetition of the same elements, do not make a repetition of the same arrangements as well, and then follow the same thing A, D, F, E, C, B, A, B, C, E, F, D, C, B, A. Follow the same sequence that I have given over here, and then you try to comprehend and write in your forum what you felt about it. And if you have very attentively done it, I am expecting more of your reactions in the forum on this. Take this almost like an assignment. There is no scope for this kind of assignments in these lectures or these NPTEL lectures, but however, I suggest that do this yourself, and if you want, you do it yourself, take a scan of this and mail it to me. I will be very happy to see that how did you comprehend this particular concepts, and I will further elaborate in my next lecture. Thank you very much. Enjoy it.